Hey guys, what's up? There, Softtech here. Today we'll be taking a look at my ICS L86LSW, and LSW stands for Light Support Weapon. If you can't already tell, this thing is definitely a support weapon. So let's get down to talking about it. So a long time ago, well before I actually established this YouTube channel, I had one of these. Now, I sold it a long time ago as well because I just felt like I didn't really need it, didn't really want it, kind of just had issues with it, and I just didn't want it. I kind of want to get rid of it, get it out of my sight kind of thing. And so, you know, over the years that I've gone without it, I've kind of actually really missed it. And so I eventually traded my Barrett, my Snow Wolf Barrett, I can't remember, I think it's like an M107, I don't know the numbers exactly, but I traded the Barrett for this. Now a lot of you guys may not like that I did that trade, and the Barrett was a really cool gun, and I never really made a really good video on it because I just never had the time to fully upgrade it to a DMR capacity. So I wanted to trade it out for something like this. And we're going to talk about what I've done to it and everything about it. So let's go do that. So I've got the gun on my desk right now, and it barely fits on my desk, at least the working portion of my desk. It wants to hang off to the left side on this filing cabinet that I have, but it does barely fit. So this gun is of course green and black. Everything that you see that is black is metal, specifically aluminum, and everything you see that is green is plastic. Now I'm not exactly sure of the exact type of plastic and what materials this plastic is made out of, but it's a really solid plastic actually. It's not one of the feeble plastics that you feel on a lot of guns. It's very solid. Where there's no motor grip in here because the gearbox shell is back here, this grip here is pretty thick. It's not necessary, it's hollow, but it's not super hollow, so it does have some plastic inside of it, but it's not immediately hollow, I guess you could say. There's a screw holding it right here, and this grip is very solid. I don't feel like I'm gonna break it when I'm running around with the gun and I'm using it like I would a real gun. It feels just solid and like it's not gonna go anywhere. So anything green on this isn't gonna break, it's not gonna have an issue, and so yeah, I really like it. The green and black iconic look, like the the real British L86 and L85, I really like that look, but if it's not something for you, you could easily spray paint these black and go from there. But I really do like the green and black look. It's very authentic, and it catches a lot of eyes. So we'll start at the front and make our way towards the rear. The front right here is, of course, this is the outer barrel, this is the barrel shroud, and this is your bipod. The bipod's really cool, it works really well. I never really use it because those bipods feel like they're, not necessary to me, but it does function pretty well because it's got this functionality where it can spin like this, it can spin up and down, it can rotate back and forth. So it's got this, spherical kind of angle that it can rotate around, and that makes it really nice. Like I said, I never really use it though. I might end up actually taking it off just because it's added weight, and I'm not particularly a strong person. So taking that bipod off might be something that I do eventually. Flash hider here, I'm not sure if it's really removable. It probably is somehow. I just haven't taken the time to do it. It looks like somebody has tried to remove it. I got this thing used where it's all beat up here. It looks like somebody has tried to remove it. I don't know, we'll see if I ever try to take it apart. But yeah, I like the look on this gun right here. I have taken off this portion, the barrel shroud, and the bipod before just to see what it looked like, and it looked really odd. I immediately threw it all back together just because I didn't like the way it looked. So I'm keeping this barrel shroud on right here. Regardless, I may take off the bipod though, just because it's added weight that I really don't use. So moving on to the handguard and the trigger. So the handguard right here houses your battery. It's very easy to fit a big 7.4 volt LiPo in there. I can easily fit my 1500 milliamp 11 volt LiPo in here. This one, it'll easily fit. Now this one is getting really old and puffy, so I don't use it a whole lot, but it will fit. But I would recommend sticking to a 7.4 volt until you get a MOSFET in this gun because the trigger contacts are kind of frail, and I would really hesitate to use a 11 volt LiPo because I would not want to fry those out. But yeah, this thing, it takes apart pretty easily. You just bring that off, and there's a little hook right here where you just kind of slide it off like that. But yeah, it's easy to fit a big battery in there, and there's plenty of room. Like I said, the green is made out of plastic, but it's really solid plastic, so it's not going anywhere. I've never heard of these breaking. I've never had an issue where I felt like it was gonna break, so no issues there. The trigger is kind of odd because it's down here and your contacts are up here. So there's like this connection system right here where it'll complete the circuit, of course. When you pull the trigger, hear that clicking right there. And then the selector switch is back here, and we'll get to that in a minute. Moving our way to the center portion of the gun, obviously the upper and the lower, aluminum, It's very durable, it's not going to go anywhere. It's actually pretty thick stuff. Even though you can kind of flex it right here where they meet, it's really hard to flex up here. Traditionally, these guns come with the carry handle, kind of reminiscent of the M16, where you have this front sight down here as well. But I immediately took them off because I like to put optics on my gun, so I swapped out for this GMP ACOG, and it functions just fine. You do have to have this rail mount here. This does not come with the gun. It comes with a rail mount here that will only attach the carry handle. So you have to get this other rail mount, and then you got to get these screws, and then you got to screw it down, and then put your ACOG on. So it does require extra parts and extra money to be able to put an optic on this gun, but you can do it. All right, so onto the rear of the gun. Of course, you have the magazine right here, the magazine catch and release. It's only on one side, so it's not an ambidextrous gun. Bullpup guns are kind of hard to make ambidextrous, and this gun is definitely not for lefties. If you have an airsoft gun, you can pull it off as a lefty, of course, and occasionally I shoot left-handed just because I'm sort of ambidextrous with my hands and the way I shoot. So you can shoot an airsoft gun like this, but if you had the real gun, you definitely couldn't, because the charging handle is right here, and you would be getting brass right in your face every time you shot it. So that would definitely not work. But anyway, magazine catch right here. I did notice that it's kind of awkward with some magazines, so I put some tape in here to shim the magazine forward a bit so that it feeds a little bit more flawlessly. Before I did this, it would feed like 1 every 3 rounds, and now that I've done this, it feeds every single round. So it's nice to fix and easy to fix, of course. Right here, you have your selector switch, up and down, of course, semi and auto. Of course, this is your grip back here for an LMG. Now, in airsoft, this is completely unnecessary, but because they stick with realism when they make these guns, they want to make it one-on-one to the same replica that is its counterpart in real life. And so this grip is back here for stability. And the same thing with this thing right here. This thing just kind of comes up so that you can rest it on your shoulder, and so that it's easier to carry and shoulder as you stand up. But like I said, completely unnecessary for airsoft. But it's just sticking true to what the real counterpart does in real life. Now, there isn't much of a difference on the other side, but you do have a couple differences, so we'll go over them. There's nothing on down the rifle. There's really only this safety right here, where this side is safe and that side is semi, or not safe. And so right here you have your charging handle. You can easily access your hop-up unit right there. You can pull it back and lock it so that you can easily adjust it without having to hold it back with one hand and adjust with the other one. So now you can just lock it back and easily adjust. So, and then you let go. You have this little piece right here, and that's really about it. Now let's take a look onto the inside of the gun. So the takedown on this gun is incredibly simple. All you gotta do is take out the magazine, which might be odd to do from this side I'm doing it from. Take out the magazine, pop this pin out in the center, pins out, set it up over here, and then pop this other pin out right here. That should help. There we go, it's out finally. That pin can be a pain in the butt sometimes, but it holds it all together. So once you have that pin out, you can split the upper from the lower, and they split apart, and you expose your gearbox shell and hop-up unit. So the first thing you do, of course, is you just disconnect your motor connectors right here. Slide your gearbox shell out, and there you go. It's its own special LMG style gearbox shell for the L86, and then your hop-up unit is right here. Alright, so time to talk about this gearbox shell. So this gearbox shell is specific for the L86 and L85 design for ICS only. I don't think it fits into anything else whatsoever. I could be wrong on that, but I highly doubt this gearbox shell fits into anything but this specific gun, and the L85, of course. So you have actually a quick change spring guide here. It's different from other quick change spring guides where you just kind of pop them out and where you push them in and rotate them and they pop out. This one has a bar right here, and you flip the switch and you pull the bar out, and then your spring guide comes out, and you can actually adjust your spring guide in 3 different positions, where one is all the way in, one is partially out, and then one is all the way out. And so you can kind of adjust your FPS that way, and that's kind of nice just in case your gun's firing a little over some field's chrono, because that happens to me sometimes. So I'll easily just either mess around with my hop-up unit in the field, which I've done before, or I'll just adjust the spring tension right here. So that'll be nice and easy. Internally, I have an SHS piston, I have a M120 spring, I have an SHS air nozzle that I've shaved down to fit this gun perfectly, I have an SHS 16 TPA high torque motor, 16 TPA I would argue is not considered high torque, it's really considered balance. 22 TPA is when you get to in the torque range. Anything 18 TPA to like 14 TPA is really much a balance motor, and then anything below 14 TPA I would easily consider a speed motor. But this one's 16 TPA. It calls it a high torque motor, but it's really a balance. We'll go with high torque, whatever, just to stick with the name brand on it. Here's your cutoff lever right here. It attaches to the outside of the gearbox shell so that it can connect with the bar system that you have going on right here when you shoot and pull the trigger. I have G&G 18:1 ratio gears. I really like G&G gears, especially the heat-treated ones. They're just super solid and they never wear out on me. I have heard stories of people breaking them down, but they break them down over, not shimming them correctly, or something along the lines of it is their fault and not the gun's fault or not the gear's fault. So I love G&G gears. I ran them in everything, and I'm running them in this. The specific reason why I chose G&G gears over, say, like SHS or Siege Tech gears is because G&G gears are a little bit thinner. And so this gearbox shell is really tight right here. It does not want to be shimmed easily. So you do one of two things. You shave down your bushings, or you get you do one of two things. You either shave down your bushings, which I'm not a big fan of because you can change the angle at which the bushings sit, therefore making your shimming more difficult and therefore offsetting the gears. You can shave your bushings down, or you can just get different gears. I got different gears because it's a heck of a lot easier in my opinion, and these gears are good gears. Like I said, G&G gears are a bit thinner, but they're machined much more precisely, and they're a lot tougher than a lot of gears out there. I would honestly say that G&G heat-treated 18:1 ratio gears are stronger than JG 18:1 gears. 9 times out of 10, I'll go with the G&G gears way over the JG gears. Obviously, I'm going to be running a full cylinder because the barrel length in this thing is absolutely massive. You can shorten the barrel length down, but even if you shortened it down, I would go with a full cylinder just because your BB is going to have to be going through a long setup before it reaches outside of the gun. If you have a keen eye, you will notice that I have a bearing here, but bushings here and here. The reason why I have a bearing there is not for exactly mechanical purposes, because if you're going to have a bearing anywhere, it should probably be in the bevel, because that's where the least amount of stress is, or so I've heard a lot of research based upon that in airsoft mechanics forums, that the bevel gear is where a very little amount of stress is actually occurring. A lot of stress is actually occurring underneath of the spur gear, so I always put a bushing there unless it's a very, very, very low stress build. But this build is going to be in full auto constantly because it's an LMG build, of course. But I put a bearing here simply because the shimming is just so hard to do in these gearbox shells because they're so tight, and bearings are usually a bit thinner than bushings, especially compared to SHS bushings. So I just put a bearing there because they're thinner, easier to shim the gears, all that stuff. So that's why that's there. It's not for any other mechanical purpose, if you're wondering. So just in case you guys are curious, right here I am running a standard ICS hop-up chamber for this gun. It's very proprietary for this gun, but it's the stock one and I like it. It works well, it seals well, it's one piece, so why not? For the barrel, I'm running a ZCI 6.02mm barrel. That's the diameter, and then the length, I do not know because I have actually not measured the length on this one, but it fits the entire gun, so that's really super duper cool. The bucking that I'm running is a Lonex 70-degree bucking flat hop because I like flat hop, and because flat hop works well, and because R hop takes time and flat hop doesn't really take time. So let's go to chrono. Alright, well there you have it, my ICS L86LSW. Now, I know this video may have seemed really rushed to some of you guys, and to be honest, it was. I'm leaving for college in T-minus 23 minutes and 18 seconds. But life is what life is, and I really wanted to get another video out real quick because I want to be able to edit a video while I'm back at EKU where I go to college. And yeah, because I really like making videos, I know you guys really like watching them. I get about 1,000 views on each video in about 36 hours, which is pretty good, I think. And you guys seem to enjoy me in the comments, so I'm going to keep them coming. Alright, so I need to wrap this video up. I will see you guys in the next video, whatever the heck I do. Until next time, stay tuned, techs. Obviously, you guys know I've got this super big gun wall here. I've got 5 guns on it. I've got my G3, my P90, my Shorty M4, my M16, my DSG. I've got all kinds of guns on it. Little did you know that I actually have another one. Yes, another one. All the guns I have, a total of like 12. I had to get another gun wall because, well, airsoft is not a cheap hobby, and airsoft makes you want to buy more and more guns, which is what I've been doing, which is something I shouldn't be doing.